Hello everyone, Isabel here today on Wednesday the 1st of February. My goodness, the first month of 2023 gone already. Now, I'm sure you all remember the TV programme that Eamon Andrews used to do, This Is Your Life. Well, I'm going to call today's reflection, This Is My Church Life. I was baptised at home on the 5th of October 1944 by the Reverend David Nelson, who was minister at Aberlemno Church. I have all this information because I was given this little New Testament book on that day. My parents were members of Roscoby Church, so I don't know why it was the Aberlemno minister or why it took place at home. It may have been something to do with it being wartime. Jump to Sunday school days, which I attended very irregularly due to the fact that we stayed a fair bit away and work on the farm took priority. But I do remember my Sunday school teacher, Miss Laird, a lovely lady, who about 20 years later was to be my son's primary school teacher. I must have been about 10 years old when Mrs. Richmond, the minister's wife at the time, asked me to do some sort of verse, and I agreed, not knowing at the time it was to be in the church. Imagine a wee country lassie standing up in the church doing a recitation. But I did it, so I reckon that must have been the first of what I now accept to be quite a regular occurrence. Eventually, my family decided to move to a Forfar church, knowing that I would soon want to join as a church member myself. So we started going to East Church in Green Street. I very quickly became involved in church life, beginning with a member of the choir. And of course, a few years later, Jim and I were married there by the Reverend Lewis Hardy. I went to the young women's group, and when the boys came along and I was taking them regularly to Sunday school, I was persuaded to become a Sunday school teacher and later to lead the Bible class. I had a lovely group of girls, including the Reverend Dr. Marjorie McLean, no less. We didn't do parties, but I had hired a minibus one summer to take them pony trekking in Glen Isla. Notice I say them. And when they went ice skating at Dundee Ice Rink, Marjorie's dad, Morris, helped by taking some of the girls in his car, and I spent a very interesting evening listening to all Morris's stories. When the union with the Parish church came, I gave up my position as Bible class leader, but I was soon back as a Sunday school teacher at East and Old. I did a few Bible readings during Graham Norrie's ministry, but with the coming of Barbara Ann, I got really involved, taking part in some of the Sunday morning services. The first two I did were merely Barbara Ann's words, read by me. But I'm sure some of the congregation must have thought I was just a bit above myself when I entered the pulpit, even if I did need the help of a few books so they could all see me. Since lockdown, along with the other members of the worship group, I've been leading the midweek and Sunday morning reflections to help take the pressure off Barbara Ann. But now, since things are beginning to get back to normal, we've scaled back to Wednesdays only. Marion and I spent a lovely morning at Inverarity Church on Sunday to get the lie of the land, because we're to be covering for Barbara Ann there when she's on holiday. I've learned a lot in the past few years, and although I was rather nervous at first, I find I quite enjoy it now. So that's the story of my church life. Have a good week.